The drama of Donington, the battle of brands is upon us. Welcome everybody to qualifying for round 4 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. And around here, with an even bigger entry than we had at Donington, it is going to be frantic stuff, that is for sure. The track is only 1.2 miles long. It was the home of the first BTCC race back in 1958. The qualifying lap record, unofficially, Colin Turkington's at 47.3, but with a lot of resurfacing work in the last week, it's a grippier circuit, it's a faster circuit, and the lap times that we've had this morning within free practice have been really impressive, really quick. And it's going to be fascinating to see what that does for the racing this weekend. A grippier track, really hot conditions, and of course all the extra boost that the drivers are going to be able to allocate over the course of the 3 races. This our first qualifying session of the year where the boost becomes a factor. Of course, it wasn't relevant at Donington for that opening weekend of the championship, but it really is going to be very frantic indeed, not only in terms of qualifying, but the racing tomorrow where we have the option tyre, which comes into the mix as well. And on the softs in this heat, that's going to be something else for the teams to really have to worry about, I think, and it's going to make yet another factor for the varied racing that we're going to have this weekend. Now, free practice has already been completed, of course, 2 sessions earlier on in the day. One was topped by Charles Rainford in his first year in the championship, the other by Chris Smiley, who you can see getting ready for qualifying. And at the end of FP2, Louise Goodman and Tim Harvey went walkabout.
Welcome to a lovely sunny Brands Hatch pit lane, and Tim and I are back doing our little wanders up the pit lane before qualifying, and we're starting at the sharp end. Adam Morgan, good session for you that was, wasn't it?
It has, it's been really good. I think quite a few people in that session wanted to put the soft tyre on just to see how the balance would change because of the way the tyre regs work. We're on soft and the hard tyre here, so everyone had maybe 1 or 2 push laps at the end. The balance shifted a little bit, so we know what we need to do now to change that for qualifying.
The big talking point here this week is tyres. We're running the soft tyre here at Brands on the Indy circuit on the hottest day so far, probably tomorrow of the year. You've got new track surface as well. Tyre management on the softs is going to be crucial. We saw at Donington Race 3, Tom Chilton in the Hyundai, fantastic. You must have learnt a lot from that to carry into this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Donington was very tough for everybody on the soft tyres, and like I said, around here, it's a step into the unknown again because the track's been re-tarmacked, so I think that's going to hurt the tyres harder, especially, as you said to me before, with lock-on on the hybrid, it is going to hurt them. So we've all got to take what we learnt at Donington, make the appropriate setup changes, mostly on the camber, and make sure we can try and get to the end of the race.
You've got to learn it's boost this year, not hybrid.
Boost, yeah.
We need to learn that too, don't worry. We'll all get there in the end. Have a good session. Let's go for a wander, Tim. Interesting as Chris. Gosh,
Come and join us.
Come and join us. I love it. You send a message to say, please ask the driver to come and see me. And he's straight down here. We were going to come to you, but hey, as you're here, fastest in that session. It was a good one. Obviously, it's only practice, but presumably you've got some pace there that you're hoping you can take through to qualifying.
Yeah, as you said, it's only FP2, but yeah, I'm feeling confident with the car. We've worked hard on me and worked hard on the last little bit of our setup up there, so. Yeah, it's nice to carry that confidence into qualifying now. I felt like I could do that, no problem. So there's going to be a lot of other cars up and down the grid that's going to be able to do that as well. So it's just making sure I can step up in qualifying to make sure we can try and replicate that again.
One of the best cars, obviously, the Hyundai out this year. You must be delighted to be in this car with restart this year. The car looks so strong at Donington. You had, obviously, success there in Independence. You must be really fired up for this year.
Yeah, I've worked very hard this winter, on myself, on my fitness, on lots of levels. So, yeah, the car was sort of the next thing that we needed to take that next step.
There's no excuses now, Chris.
I don't make excuses. I try not to make excuses. I'm one of those people who's quite hard on myself. So, but yeah, obviously with the car now, we've got the machinery to do it. So it's down to me and my engineer up there to make sure that we extract. As you know, Tim, everyone has the same box of bits up and down this grid. So it's how it's engineered and how it's driven, and that's what makes it different. So, yeah, to find a sweet spot with me in the car, it's encouraging going into qualifying.
Nice to see you up there. Hopefully it'll be the same when it comes to qualifying this afternoon.
Thank you.
Right.
Good luck, Chris. Good luck.
Good stuff.
Nice of the guys. They're hot and sweaty straight out of the cars.
I know, it's great.
It's, the first thing they want to do is go and get a cold drink and cool down a little bit.
No,
so
first thing I want to do is come and talk to us.
That's true.
Which is great.
Priorities.
So we've talked about it briefly already, this new track surface. It's interesting because it's brought a little shift. I mean, we're heading up towards the BMWs here. As we know, they had problems last time out at Donington, but this new track surface, it's kind of brought things a little bit towards them alongside some work they've done to the car.
Yeah, I'd say it's mainly the work they've done on the car. They've been moving weight about in the car as much as they can, even putting weight into the rear doors low down to try and shift some weight back to get the balance of the car back to what they know and love. But yeah, I mean, hot temperatures traditionally does help the BMW because it's spreading the tyre load much more evenly than the front-wheel drive cars. And honestly, the whole discussion this weekend is about tyres. And the reason is last year we were running medium tyres. Here we're now running the soft as the primary tyre. It's hot. We've got this new track surface at Surtees and Clearways, and the track itself is something like 8, 9, 10 degrees hotter because it's black tarmac and it's just absorbing the heat.
I paused you here because there's another man I wanted to have a word with. Aidan, coming out, and Aidan, finish your ice cream. Come and have a chat. It's interesting. You said it's hot out. We were just talking about the fact it's hot out there. You're feeling clearly. You could try. It doesn't work as well. Just talking about the track and the changes to the track. What difference has it made versus taking the weight out of your car, which Tim has said has made a big difference for you guys, or moving the weight around, should I say?
I think the big difference is the last corner is usually a little bit of the Achilles heel of a rear-wheel drive touring car here. You're fighting the front right lock-in all the way in, trying to trail the brake though to get the front and the nose in, and then trying to pick up the throttle over the crest where you start lifting an inside rear wheel and get the oversteer, and that adds up to a chunk of time lost, whereas now you can just barrel so much more speed in, use the traction and really commit to the throttle, and I think actually the front right wheel lifting rather than a rear wheel now, so it just really takes away the biggest issue we would have in a rear-wheel drive touring car here, and just being able to roll a lot more speed and it holds you a lot more, get off the brake and release the car a little bit and then drive off the corner, and I think that's a big thing. It's where we usually lose a chunk of time. We're not losing that time now, which is it's lovely.
Sounds good.
Hope to do the rest of the track.
Final quick one from you, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, we all want to see the BMWs back to the front. I know there's been a lot of hours spent looking at data, working things out at West Surrey Racing, and the initial look is that things are improving for you. Are you feeling that in the car?
It is, yeah. We knew we were going to struggle going into Donington with the chassis. With taking the hybrid out of the car, it's obviously everyone's on the same boat, but the weight distribution goes a little bit more forward. And that's where it started affecting us. At Donington we were picking up rear wheels quite a lot, unsettling the car in a lot of areas, and we kind of knew we were going to struggle with the chassis, but also I think track specific, we just thought it wasn't going to really work for us, so I was just trying to really do as least bad, not as good, as least bad as we could. We had some parts go wrong on this Saturday, which was out with the team's control. Fought back well, and it was just switching our mind to Brands Hatch, not dwelling on that. We knew we would come back, and coming to a team like West Surrey, they've been here a year or two. They've seen everything there is to see, and that's why you come to a top team. That's why you fight so hard commercially to make this deal work, is because it's a team you can put your trust in, know the hard work's going on, and let them do their thing. Don't stress about it, and just show back up and make sure you're in a good position, and just let them give you the car you need to do the job again.
Sounds good. Exactly what you want. Your ice cream's melting. We'll let you go. And we will look ahead to qualifying coming up very shortly. Over to you, David.
Louise, thanks very much. Qualifying then set to get underway. Let's just remind you how the championship looked, because there is, of course, a point for pole position. Ash Sutton, after those 2 wins at Donington, has a 7-point advantage over Tom Ingram. Tom Chilton, after the race 3, win third, ahead of Dan Camish and then Dan Rowbottom. Jake Hill, the reigning champion, 6th. Aidan Moffat is 7th, and Chris Smiley in 8th, with the same number of points as his race number, and he's the man to watch potentially, because having been at the top of FP2, he goes into Group 1 along with Aidan Moffat, Tom Ingram, Dan Lloyd, Tom Chilton, Ash Sutton, Daryl DeLeon, Dan Camish, Max Hall, Sam Osborne, Josh Cook, Nick Hamilton, and the returning Nick Halstead, who wasn't at Donington. A deal has been done to put him into the 2nd Power Maxed Astra, and Nick already a winner this year because he had 2 category wins last week here in the McLaren Trophy Europe. It's a 2-driver category, 2 50-minute races. It was a Pro-Am car in which he drove, so along with Tom Holland, GT4 racer, and we used to see him in Ginettas on the Toka Bill, they won the Pro-Am class in both races. And there he is, now back as a touring car driver. So Brands Hatch might feel a bit different this weekend, given the resurfacing. The car is new to him. He did get behind the wheel at shakedown, but there was a problem, so not much shaking down could go on. So really the first time he drove the car was in FP1 this morning. Right, we're in business. This is Q1, Group 1, 10 minutes. We want the fastest 6. You can at least on a short track like this, Tim, I guess, get quite a few laps into your 10 minutes. But you were saying earlier on that tyres is the big talk. For the next hour or so, another conversation topic is going to be traffic management.
Yeah, traffic management and also boost, the amount of boost available to you. Someone like Sutton with only 1 second of boost, it's almost non-existent. There he is in the new livery that they've got for this weekend, the 100-year anniversary of Napa, and the car looks absolutely stunning. He's got new overalls and helmet to go with it. But with only 1 second of boost, there's really nothing he can do against cars that have got up to 15 seconds. And round here, that's worth a good half a second. Well, half a second can cover 15 cars. Ash said, I'll be doing well to get out of this first group, to get out inside the top 6. And if he could qualify in the top 10, he'd be ecstatic with that little amount of boost. Right. Tyres, they don't have to worry about. They all qualify on soft, and there's no deterioration over just 1 or 2 laps.
Now remember, when a driver is using the boost, the rectangular panel on that rear window above their name will go green. When they're not using it, it will just be the white surround, and when they've run out for the lap, it will go red. So Ash Sutton then comes up now towards the completion of the lap. It's a really warm day at Brands Hatch, but even now a tyre cross is required. And remember, it's the top 6 that we're looking at here, as Tom Ingram and Tom Chilton are also going to be worth keeping an eye to. Tom Chilton goes through having been 9th in FP2, and Tom Ingram was 5th in FP2, and he is the man coming down the pit lane. On the graphic on screen, you can see the time ticking away. You'll see the sectors go either yellow if it's slower, green if it's a personal best, or purple if it's an absolute best. And when that little turbo boost indicator goes green, you'll know that the driver is on the boost. When it's white, as it is at the moment, the driver is just using natural power, if you like, no extra power. So Chilton hustles on up towards 30s, no doubt lifting a wheel here as he goes right into McLaren, loads up the car to go into clearways, and then keep turning through Clark Curve. Remember, as far as sectors are concerned, we're looking for greens, but ideally purples, because that means that you are quicker than anybody else, not just improving on your own time. White's an outlet, yellow is a bit slower, and this is Daryl De Leon in number 2 BMW, who comes up to the line. 13th in FP2 goes by, and he will do a target time of 51.1. That's a long way adrift of what they were doing this morning. The quicker of the 2 free practice sessions, topped by Chris Smiley, a 46.7. For cars around here to be into the 46s, that is impressive, and that's the target now for qualifying.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see a new qualifying record. I mean, partly because the cars are now using soft tyres. Previous years they've used medium tyres, so there's instantly half a second there in the tyre. But as you say, David, the resurfacing has also shaved some tenths of a second off the lap time. So yeah, we're looking at a new qualifying record. Whether it will come here or in the final part, we'll have to wait and see.
Well, at the moment, you've got Aidan Moffat on screen, who, with respect to him, is not the world's best qualifier, but he's a good racer. He was able to rebuild his Donington weekend, wasn't he, to come away with a good haul of points, and he's heading up towards the timing line then now. Daryl De Leon's best lap is now 50.7, but there's more to come. Aidan Moffat goes by on a 51.5. There's much, much more to come. But we've only got just over 5.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, the good news though is this is a short lap time, just only 47 odd seconds, so they can do more laps. But the reality is there isn't really time to change tyres or do anything and have another run at it in the session. So they've only got 2 or 3 laps in each 10-minute segment where the tyres are at their best, but they're certainly not going to run out of time. Moffat really on it, turning into Surtees. You saw the rear of the car moving about. Here, look at this nice new black tarmac. The reason it's he's actually set that up to start a lap now. He went wide to get a better drive out the corner, so I think it'll be the next lap will be the fast one. But the reason it's gaining more temperature is that because the new tarmac is just that much blacker, so it's absorbing more heat.
You could argue as well, this is the tougher group because you've got more cars in there. Moffat, De Leon, Ingram, Chilton, Sutton, Camish is the ordering the top 6. Now Dan Camish goes up to 3rd with a proper push lap. This is Dan Lloyd, who had a really tough Donington, but makes his way up towards the line. A 12 and 2 retirements for Dan Lloyd at Donington, hoping he's got all that bad luck out of the way. 4.5 minutes on the clock now. Chris Smiley goes quickest, a 47.550. And that is 3/10 faster than Dan Lloyd. So for Restart Racing, it's a 1-2 at the moment.
Yeah, obviously Smiley has the full 15 seconds, as does Lloyd, of hybrid, of boost, sorry, I must stop saying that, boost available.
Old habits die hard.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Adam Morgan said it himself, didn't he, in that pre-race interview, but yeah, boost. No hybrid at all on the cars this year. It's all turbo boost when you push that button.
Now there, really flinging the car out of Paddock Hill Bend is Aidan Moffat, and currently he is 5th. Daryl De Leon is now fastest, 47.043, ahead of Tom Ingram, ahead of Dan Camish, Ash Sutton, Aidan Moffat, Chris Smiley is down to 6th, and they're the 6 that would go through. The one we really need to focus on is Josh Cook, who had a tough FP2 with a sticking gear shift. Somebody's made a mistake there, look, going up towards Druids and just about scrabbles away with that.
Max Hall, I think that is.
Might be right, yeah, who's 9th in the times. But Josh Cook for One Motorsport is still only 10th in the times, and he's having a really tough day so far.
Ingram has now gone quickest. That's quite a performance. Remember, he's only got 3 seconds of boost to use, so that shows how fast that Hyundai is.
Does indeed. You should look at Josh Cook then now, who has also got the full 15 seconds coming up towards the line. So you'd anticipate Cookie should be up there. It is Ingram, De Leon, Camish, Moffat, Lloyd, Smiley the top 6. Josh Cook goes through and goes up to 8. So it's an improvement, but not enough, and a red flag because Moffat's in the gravel. Aidan Moffat is in the gravel on the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. He's 4th in the times. 3 minutes on the clock. The clock of the course can reset if he wants from 5 minutes.
I think he'll have to. I hope he does. Yeah, Cook, a lot of people's favourite for pole position this weekend, but I think that lap might have been compromised by yellow flags at the start-finish line for the incident at Paddock. But at the moment, the top 6 are Ingram, De Leon, Camish, Moffat, Lloyd and Smiley.
And this is the replay of Aidan Moffat coming up to Paddock and getting it wrong.
Oh, the curb sent him. He took the curb and it just sent the car. He's been a little bit wild, dare I say it, already. But that curb just unsettled the car. It wouldn't stick, would it?
And he's pretty close to the edge of the road, so if anybody else were to run wide, they'd clobber it. You can see there, Aidan knows how costly an error that has been.
Yeah, he's disappointed with himself, isn't it? Yeah.
Shakes his head, can't believe it. And one solid whack of a curb skates you off across the circuit. The car easily dragged out of the gravel, but there's no way the session could have carried on with that in harm's way. So red flag.
Yeah, it's ironic, isn't it, that when the gravel is actually wet, it compacts and it's hard and you can drive out of it. When it's dry and dusty, the car sinks down into it.
Now we're being told that Tom Ingram may not have stopped at the weighbridge when he came into the pit lane under that red flag. Think back to Dan Camish losing a pole position here for not going to the weighbridge when the light told him so to do. Sam Riches there in the white shirt walking away, the TOCA technical delegate, and I think he will have had a word with Spencer Aldridge, who is the engineer for Tom Ingram, and maybe just emphasising the point, or indeed warning of maybe further repercussions. Aidan Moffat loses his best lap time for being the cause of a red flag, so it's a sort of double whammy for him. This.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's what he was. He felt he knew it would. He'd caused it. He knew he was going to lose his fastest time. He's just trying to shake any gravel out the back of the car before he gets back to the pit, save a little bit of embarrassment for him and his mechanics. Used to be a policy that the mechanics would hoover up all the gravel and stick it in your hire car as a reminder, just to try and stop you doing it again. But I'm sure they won't do that to Aidan.
The late Hugh Chamberlain, great sports car team owner, used to get the mechanics to weigh the gravel, and the weight of the gravel equated to the amount of beer that the guilty driver had to buy them. Hugh Chamberlain liked his ale.
Yes.
He's a proper bloke. Right, Aidan Moffat back down the pit lane. The clock may be reset. It's down to Ian Watson as the clerk and his discretion, really, to know what to do next. But first up is to get the car removed, to get marshals back on post. And indeed, as I say all of this, 5 minutes appear on the clock. Aidan Moffat arrives right in front of Dick Bennett's. Sort of explain yourself, Aidan, to Patron.
Yeah,
Right.
so 5 minutes, plenty of time for them to go again. Possible crossing of the tyres, fronts to rears, rears to front on the front-wheel drive cars as to give you another chance at it. But they're only going to get a couple of flying laps, 2 or 3 flying laps at most, depending on where they come out the pits.
There's quite a bit of discussion the other side of Tom Ingram's car here between Spencer Aldridge and Marvin Humphries, the team manager, which may be going back to this not stopping at the Weybridge fence. The discussion continues both with the team and up in race control, no doubt.
I mean, it's an easy mistake to make in the sense that when it's a red flag, it's also red lights everywhere.
All the way around
All
the
the way
circuit,
around the circuit, it's red lights. So you're looking at red lights. If you come in the pits and there's a red light, you're half thinking, well, that's because the search, rather than it stop at the pit weighing scales.
And Aidan Moffat's session is done. He's out of the car, and there'll be some expletives inside that crash helmet, that's for sure. Mickey Butler from Goodyear sort of commiserates as Aidan stalks off. I said early on that he's a better racer than qualifier, so don't rule him out for race 3. He'll be rebuilding his weekend, but remember how feisty he was at Donington. He got, a couple of 9th and a 7th out of that weekend, but he does seem to struggle in qualifying.
Well, that was commentator's curse, wasn't it? I mean, I have to say, though, I once said that about Adam Morgan not being the best qualifier, and then he stuck it on the front row of the next race, so maybe Aidan will bounce back at the next meeting.
Well, certainly confirmation that he's had a lap time disallowed for causing a red flag, and so he falls to 11th, and therefore he's out of qualifying.
And Sutton now gets into the top 6.
For the moment, with 5 minutes to go, yes. Sam Riches, Alan Gow at the back of Tom Ingram's car, talking to Marvin Humphries. Whatever is being decided is being communicated, and if it is not stopping at that red light, then the order that you have on the timing tower there on the graphic may suddenly shuffle. However, the session is back live, so for the moment let's worry about times as we're good to go. Tom Ingram may need to go again and do an even better lap just to be safe.
Yeah, they will have to.
So at the moment, the fastest is 6, covered by 0.318 of a second, as Ingram, Chilton, then Sutton head out on track. And as they do so, we're down to 4 minutes and 35 seconds as of now. Dan Camish, Sam Osborne there. Behind them, you've got Darrell De Leon. Then you've got Nick Halstead, Chris Smiley, Dan Lloyd, Josh Cook, and Nick Hamilton's Cupra. And Tom Ingram's lap disallowed. So a lap has been disallowed, and it is lap 1, lap time disallowed, it says on our timing screen. So a lap certainly being taken off him. As yet, that's not changed the order.
It also says lap 2, lap 3, so I think it's going to be all of his laps.
Lap 4, lap time disallowed. Lap 5, lap time disallowed.
Yeah.
Presumably this is taking it all out of the system. So yes.
And he's now got to come back in the pit lane and be checked.
Indeed, and he loses all the lap times.
Yes.
He falls to 13th, as you see on the graphic, so all the lap times taken away, and now he has to go through the red light, and all of this eats into the limited time they have.
Yeah, he's going to be lucky to... Look, they're doing it as fast as they can to help, literally. I'm not even sure whether they're going to weigh that. Didn't have the scales ready, did they?
No, the car's set off again.
Yeah, they didn't weigh it. They just checked the ride height.
Yeah.
Because they can check the weight at the end, and that can't be changed. So, yeah, good move by Toka. Good driving by Ingram. Gets straight back in there, and he has got time to do a lap. He'll be fired up. We always say an angry driver is a fast driver.
Yeah.
So get ready for it. Here comes Chilton, winner of the last race, remember? On that lovely grippy tarmac, on those lovely grippy soft Goodyears.
Ingram has left the technical area and gone straight out rather than doing a tyre cross. Now, does that mean he feels the tyres are okay, or is it because if that's a sort of penalty pit stop, you can't do anything else and he'll have to come back in?
No, he could come back in. He doesn't need to change the tyres, David. Okay. They're so warm anyway because of the temperatures. He'll be absolutely straight on it.
Fine.
Here we come, lights on already. He's motivated.
That's Nick Hamilton, who comes up through Clark Curve. So at the moment, Tom Ingram has no lap time on which he can rely, and he's got to try and get something that puts him into the top 6 to progress, having lost the fastest lap time set before the red flag.
Well, there could well be some quick lap times coming in the next minute and a half to 2 minutes. But Darrell De Leon is already showing that BMW are more competitive this weekend. He's quickest at the moment as we come through to Max Hall, coming through Paddock Hill Pen, right to the extremes of the track limits. Here's our champion Ash Sutton, again using all of the road, using his 1 second of boost right there, just on the exit of Clearways to try and help him along a little bit. He's in 5th at the moment.
Max Hall has lost a lap time for track limits as here. Up towards paddock goes Josh Cook, who is 7th, so he's almost there, and that's Hamilton getting it wrong at Clark. He's going to get back onto the circuit, but so too is the gravel and the dust, and he will drag onto the road. This is Tom Chilton, and Chilton currently is 8th behind Cook, so he's not going to progress. Tom Ingram, in the meantime, is hustling on and need to get a lap time on the board. Just anything to drag him into the top 6, because we're running out of time. 90 seconds of counting. Ingram goes quickest. 46.961. Tom Ingram by 31 thousandths of a second. Back to the top of the times. Take that, he says.
That's what a fast, angry driver can do in a Hyundai at the moment. That car is absolutely dynamite. 3 seconds of boost is all he's got compared to the maximum of 15 for some people.
Sam Osborne is up to 5th, but at the moment, Sutton, Chilton, Cook are out, and you've got 3 really big names there, struggling for different reasons.
Well, no disrespect, obviously, to those that have got through, but it just shows the power of boost, because given equal cars, you wouldn't expect Sam Osborne to out-qualify Sutton, for example. It's just boost.
But Tom Ingram with his 3 seconds a lap is in, and Tom Chilton with 5 seconds a lap is out. And there, off the road, goes Sam Osborne, coming onto Cooper Straight. He's 5th at the moment. He will get through, but Ash Sutton is trying to wring everything out of the freewheeling Napa Centenary Ford as he comes up towards the line. He's lost a lap time as well, has Ash Sutton, for track limits as he comes up towards the timing line. He'll squeeze one more lap out of the session as he goes by, but no improvement. Ingram, De Leon, Camish, Lloyd, Osborne, Smiley are those that look set to go through. Sutton is missing out, so is Chilton, so is Cook, so is Hall, Halstead, Moffat, Hamilton.
Well, there's certainly some unusual things going on. We would have expected Josh Cook, wouldn't we, to have got through to the next stage of qualifying, but not at the moment. But fair play to Ingram. That's a great time to have delivered under duress, and also De Leon. That's fantastic to see him up there. I think Dan Camish has done a great job as well, because he has only got limited amount of boost, 7 seconds.
Josh Cook up towards the line, but he's not been great in the first sector. It's got to be a heroic second sector as he goes across the line, and it's not. He stays 9th. That is Ash Sutton, his last roll of the dice. He misses out, so he was writing what he was saying before the session about being not expecting to progress out of this, and indeed he misses out. He's the best of the rest, if you like, but he is still going to be condemned to the second wave of the grid.
Well, he'll be 13th on the grid, won't he, for race 1, 13th or 14th. So it's an unsurprising result, if I'm honest, but he'll be very disappointed when he sees what Ingram has done, because his time is actually, it's 2.5 tenths slower than Ingram, with 2 seconds less boost. Tom Chilton channeling his inner Tom Cruise with his shades on. He often drives in shades, but he also can't get through, only finishing 8th.
So Darrell De Leon, Chris Smiley and Sam Osborne go into Q2 for the first time this season. Disappointed Josh Cook makes his way down the pit road. So you've got Tom Ingram that will go through, Darrell De Leon, a second fastest, Dan Camish, then Dan Lloyd, 5th quickest Sam Osborne, and 6th Chris Smiley, having topped FP2 6th in that group. But it's about getting through at this stage. The really heroic times come if you get into Q3, but they all want to be as far up the order as they can, and hence make sure they're not in that drop zone. And Ash Sutton 7th is the first one who misses out. There's Josh Cook's car going over the scales, having the ride height checked as well, and as Brands Hatch in the sunshine takes a breath, ready for the second group. This, the order at the end of Q1, Group 1. Tom Ingram, the fastest by 300ths from Darrell De Leon, then Dan Camish, Dan Lloyd 4th, Sam Osborne 5th, and Chris Smiley rounding out the top 6. 0.191 of a second, covering those 6 that go through. Ash Sutton misses out, so does Tom Chilton, so does Josh Cook, so also does Max Hall, Nick Hamilton, Nick Halstead, and Aidan Moffat. Green flag waves then for Group 2 to head out onto the circuit. Adam Morgan, Mikey Doble, Charles Rainford, Michael Crease, James Dorlin, Ronan Pearson, winner here last year, Dan Robotham, Dexter Patterson, Jake Hill, Gordon Shedden, who was in the gravel in FP1, Stephen Jelly and Aaron Taylor-Smith. The drivers, Aaron Taylor-Smith having had a gear drama in FP2 that kept him out really until the last minute and a half of the session. So he's a little bit on the back foot. But this is going to be another interesting one. Some big names here.
Yeah, and interestingly, only 2 of them have restricted boost. So that's Dan Rowbottom with 9 seconds and Jake Hill with 11. Everyone else has got the full 15. So we could see an upset here.
Yeah. Which is what the regulations are always trying to do, shuffle the order, make sure there's no one runaway winner. So the TGR UK Corollas heading along Cooper Straight. Gordon Shedden, having had that little brush with the barriers in the earlier session, goes up towards Surtees, and then McLaren back into the championship this year. Tough Donington, but car
didn't actually start off too well here either when he exited the pits in free practice 1 on some hard tyres and nosed it into the barrier at Druids. Team have repaired it, Speedworks very quickly. In fact, he was out again in the session. But yeah, Flash, Gordon Shedden with some work to do to find that front-running pace at the moment. I think the Toyota's possibly struggling with a little bit of straight line performance, but they're working on that as well.
Yeah, balance as well as a lack of grunt, so the team was saying earlier on, but let's see what Gordon Shedden might be able to do. Adam Morgan seems to be revelling in being back in a front-wheel drive car. Donington was a bit mixed, but he came away with some good results, with the 5th in the 3rd race. He comes into the pit lane, and let's see whether he's going to be waved towards the technical area. No, he's allowed down the pit lane, seemingly. This is the reigning champion, Jake Hill. Now, the BMWs look like completely different cars from Donington in terms of pace. Jake goes through and offers up a target time. It's going to get much, much faster than that, though, that's for sure, as he comes now through paddock, climbs the hill towards Druids. Home circuit as well, so the perfect place to kickstart the championship campaign.
Yeah, I mean, only the BMWs staying out on track, all the other front-wheel drive cars coming in to do a tyre cross, and you might wonder why are they doing that on such a hot day, and it's because the right rear is the corner that is least loaded, so turning into Surtees here, if you're in a front-wheel drive car, that right rear is the coldest tyre on the track. Well, you can't carry speed through there if the other tyres are warm and that one's cold. So when they diagonal the tyres, they're putting a nice warm left front on the right rear, and that balances out the temperatures of the tyres. So even on a hot day, the front-wheel drive cars have to cross the tyres over.
And Charles Rainford, quickest in FP1, goes by and does a 51.1 that puts him 2nd, but so early in the session, these times as yet almost meaningless. We've seen the dangers of either not obeying the regulations in the pits or of track limits, so you've got to be absolutely millimetre perfect for 10 minutes, and you've got to be quick as well.
Yeah, and they don't have much time to do it, as we said. And really, in these temperatures, these soft tyres have a maximum, maybe for a BMW, 1 lap longer than the front when they're at their peak. But we saw at the end of the first group, they couldn't really go any quicker. Apart from England, who came out and did the time, nobody really went much quicker because the window for the tyres at their peak is so small.
Up towards the line goes Jake Hill, and that is a 47.3, puts him at the top. And Charles Rainford blasts past. Of course, he's got the full allocation and boost. He now goes quickest on a 47.077. And remember, this is the man that was fastest in FP1, so confidence is there.
And that is barely 0.04 of a second slower than Chilton went. That was I can always keep an eye on the target time, if you like. It's not for grid position, but it gives us an idea of who's quick when we go into the next stage of qualifying.
Really big bite of curb there that Charles Rainford takes down at Graham Hill Bend. Adam Morgan's the next one to keep an eye to. So Tom Ingram, fastest out of Group 1. At the moment, Charles Rainford is the quickest driver out of Group 2. We've got 5 minutes and change on the clock as you look here at Stephen Jelly's One Motorsport Honda coming up towards the timing line.
Hill quickest in the first sector and in the second. 2 purple sectors. Hill goes to the top with a 46.81. That's quicker than Ingram went in Group 1.
That's Charles Rainford time, 46.81, because Rainford was the next man through and went even quicker. Jake Hill was quickest on a 46, but that was an 8.66.
You're correct.
Charles Rainford went even faster next in the queue. So Rainford and Hill, Morgan and Crease. Rainford Hill sounds like a small village, doesn't it? Anyway, they're the top of the times at the moment, 48,000 between them. Dan Rowbottom goes by up to 3rd in the Napa Cataclean Ford, and that is a 49.154. This is Aaron Taylor-Smith, hopefully over the gearbox dramas that virtually stopped FP2 in its tracks. He stays out, comes up towards the timing line. Michael Crease has had his lap time disallowed, so scratch that one off the board. 4.5 minutes on the clock. ATS goes by, and that puts him 6th there.
Yeah, Dan Rowbottom suffering with a migraine at the moment. Well, I can't imagine anything worse than getting in a racing car on a hot day with a crash helmet on than when you're suffering from a migraine, but he's rising to the challenge.
He is indeed. Fourth now. Rainford, Hill, Morgan, Rowbottom, Doble, Mikey Doble fifth, Dexter Patterson sixth. So Ronan Pearson misses out for the moment. So does Shedden, Taylor Smith, Dornan. You've got all four of the Works Toyotas in this group, and at the moment, not one of them is in the top six. That will change surely by the end. Stephen Jelly is the one at the bottom of the times. That's the other One Motorsport Honda having a problem. They had an exhaust gremlin, didn't they, at the start of FP2, which cost them some time as well. But weird the way that those Hondas just have not seemingly been unlocked as yet this weekend. Right, Adam Morgan, absolute best in the first sector. Gordon Shedden, personal best in the first sector. Aaron Taylor-Smith goes fifth, and Ronan Pearson's up to sixth.
Meanwhile, Rowbottom went third briefly before Morgan usurped him. So Morgan now up to third, Doble up to fourth.
Jake Hill, lap disallowed, but I think he's going to be okay to hang on to second in the order. Morgan third, Doble fourth, Patterson fifth, and make that sixth because Rowbottom's back up to fifth. So Rainford, Hill, Morgan, Doble, Rowbottom, Patterson are the top six at the moment. 3 minutes on the clock.
It's do or die for the last roll of the dice, really, because the tyres are very much coming to the best of their peak performance now in these temperatures.
Aaron Taylor-Smith, personal best in the first sector, seventh at the moment, goes across the line. Sixth, he's in at the expense of Dexter Patterson. Stephen Jelly's up to eighth. James Dorlin's improved to 10th. And the session has got 2 3/4 minutes to go. So Stephen Jelly now up to fifth. Mikey Doble up to third. It is Rainford, Hill, Doble, Morgan, Rowbottom, Taylor-Smith, those that are looking to go through because Jelly's lap has just been taken off him for track limits at Paddock Hill Bend, which is this corner here. As you look at Dexter Patterson, and he's seventh. He's the best of the rest. He is 99 thousandths shy of Aaron Taylor-Smith. If he can find a tenth of a second, he's in. There is Taylor-Smith, who on this lap, as he heads up towards the timing line, is quicker again in sector one. Finished every race in the championship last season, did Aaron. And as he goes by, he is now seventh because Ronan Pearson, his teammate, had bumped him out by going fifth. Dexter Patterson briefly up the order, but falls back down to 11th. As now Jake Hill goes fastest, 46.746 the time. The reigning champion at the top by 72 thousandths. Hill, Rainford, Doble, Morgan, Jelly, Pearson is now the top six.
Well, Hill will be very pleased about that. Don't forget, this is his home circuit. Absolutely very much a Kentish boy. He always has a lot of support here, and he'll be delighted to see the BM backfiring on all cylinders because on soft tyres, on a hot day at Brands Hatch, a rear-wheel drive friendly circuit. Remember, Colin Turkington was on pole here last year and won the first 2 races in the BMW. It's where the BMW ought to be strong, so he'll be very pleased. That time, a good chunk quicker than England went in Group 1 as well.
So this is Dan Rowbottom, who is 7th at the moment. He's a little bit down in sector 1. And he's one of those drivers, as you say, with the limited allocation of boost.
Not sure if you mentioned it about Jelly getting in the top 6.
I had,
yes. So there's a One Motorsport car that has managed to get into the top 6.
Rowbottom over the line, but stays 7th, didn't improve in either of the sectors. He's got one more lap. He's got to find 13 thousandths to dump Ronan Pearson out of all of this. Ronan, the race 3 winner here last year. So this could be one to watch for Dan Rowbottom. It has to be one to watch to get into the next stage of qualifying.
Well, he was perfect through Paddock Hill Bend, right up to the edge of the curb. You want to carry as much speed through Graham Hill as you can and launch it down this back straight to get a good exit. Crease wide behind him.
And now he's onto that new tarmac. You can see the difference in the colour. It's much, much blacker. 3 wheels up towards Clearways.
Yeah, missed the apex a little bit there. The quickest time now is to cut that apex if you can, but he carried so much speed in.
He was down in sector 1. He's got to really make up for it in sector 2 with the extra boost as he goes across the line. It's slower. He stays 7th. And the flag is out. I think he just managed to sneak that through before the flag came out, but he's backed it off. So Dan Rowbottom's session ends 7th. He's another one that misses out. So Hill, Rainford, Doble, Morgan, Jelly, Pearson. They are the 6 that will go through provisionally.
Yeah, last lap of Rowbottom's was a couple of tenths of his best. I just think the tyres had had enough. So yeah, an interesting top 6.
We're not done yet,
2
though.
BMWs.
Gordon Shedden is on the attack and he's improved in the first sector. At the moment, Gordon Shedden is the slowest in the group and he goes through and lost down in the second sector. He is still the slowest in the group. It started off okay. Second sector unravelled, so Gordon Shedden 12th out of the 12 in Group 2.
Yeah, so as you said, Hill, Rainford, 2 BMWs, Mikey Doble in the Vauxhall, Stephen Jelly in the Honda. Pearson is the final one to go through of the 6.
That's the order then, and so Jake Hill goes through to Q2 for the second time this season. Charles Rainford will have his first appearance in Q2, and Mikey Doble a second because he was there at Donington. Adam Morgan missed out at Donington Park, so that will be his first appearance in Q2. Stephen Jelly is going to be another one in for the first time, and rounding out the top 6, Ronan Pearson got in at Donington as well. So Jake Hill, Charles Rainford, the two teammates split by 72 thousandths of a second. They progress ahead of the best independent runner Mikey Doble. Adam Morgan 4th, Stephen Jelly 5th, and Ronan Pearson 6th. With Dan Rowbottom missing out, along with Michael Crease, Aaron Taylor-Smith, then James Dorlin, Dexter Patterson and Gordon Shedden. Tough day at the office for the Toyota Gazoo Racing UK entries, with 3 of those cars missing out. Tough day for Ash Sutton as well. He's with Louise.
Yeah, that's right. I think Tim summed it up when he said disappointing but not unexpected.
No, not unexpected at all. We knew it was going to be tough. The times are incredibly close, which is good for the championship. So, yeah, coming here with 1 second of deployment really, really hurt us. Yeah, just is what it is. We knew the cards we had to play with coming into this weekend. We knew what we were dealt, and that was the outcome.
A tough day today, but we're looking at another tough day tomorrow, aren't we? With a soft tyre and a warm day. I mean, great for us watching, but it's not the ideal recipe for you, is it?
I mean, there's obviously new tarmac being laid at the last corner. There's a massive tyre temperature delta as well there. So I know Goodyear are concerned of tyre life. Not that it's the tyre's fault, more that there's the conditions and the new tarmac that's gone down. So yeah, we're going to see how we're going to play tomorrow. Probably going to be the hard tyre for race 1, let's be honest, where we are. But we'll see. We'll make some changes with the car overnight and go into racing.
Cheers, Ash. We'll see you.
Yes, thank you.
So Ash Sutton then in reflective mood, but kind of braced for it, and anything other than ending his day in Q1 was going to be a bonus. So we now have Tom Ingram, Daryl DeLeon, Dan Camish, Dan Lloyd, Sam Osborne, Chris Smiley, Jake Hill, Charles Rainford, Mikey Doble, Adam Morgan, Stephen Jelly and Ronan Pearson, all good to go, ready for Q2. 12 on track, 6 progress, and again, turn up the wick on that pressure cooker, because this is going to be really hard indeed. More frustrated drivers up and down the pit lane. Gordon Shedden, I think, is bound to be one after a really tough day in the Toyota, as the teams in the meantime get ready to pull the cars back from the pit apron and dispatch the 12 that will progress into Q2, where again 10 minutes are on the clock. We're working towards again the quick 6 that will go into the final part of qualifying. And the teams await the klaxon to sound, the green light to go on at the end of the pit lane. Here it is. So Q2 underway, and with all the cars that are no longer involved sitting on the pit apron, the other drivers go into battle once more. So 12 on track, and it's going to be Tom Ingram who leads them out. And if Q1 was about getting through, now you really do need to be quick and make sure that you survive as far as Q3 is concerned, but it's even tougher now.
Yeah, I mean, to pick 6 out of this, these are all very closely matched cars. Only 3 of them have limited hybrid. Ingram with limited boost.
We're going to have a swear jar, I think.
Camish with 7 and Hill with 11. But if we're to go on the times from the first 2 groups, we should have 3 BMWs make up that 6. If you add in Ingram, there's only a couple of spaces left, isn't there?
And if your name's not on the list, you're not coming in. It is really a very select gathering, Q3, at every BTCC event. Right, drivers trying to get themselves some clear track space, also trying to get some warmth into the tyres before the cross. You can see how vigorously some weave right the way across the circuit. Let's head back down to the pit lane. I was saying it was a tough day at the office for Gordon Shedden. He can tell Louise just how tough.
Gordon, you're not the only person having a tough day at the office today, but that doesn't really make it any better, does it?
No, we've got something going on that we just can't quite get to the bottom of at the minute, but yeah, we just got zero pace in it. We can see where the losses are, and it doesn't matter what we do, we just can't seem to kind of stem that bleeding. So yeah, we need to go and have a good look at it and see what we can kind of salvage for tomorrow. But yeah, not a great Saturday.
Something new that's appeared this weekend, something that you can hopefully cure for tomorrow, or is this a hangover from Donington
No,
as well?
I don't think it's a hangover at all. It's just slow. There's no other way around it. You can see where we just bleed a bit of time, and it's frustrating. But we'll keep our heads down. We'll work at it. Tomorrow's a new day. But we all want the results now, rather than in the future.
Thanks, Gordon.
Thanks.
So Gordon Shedden then frustrated, and he's right in saying that tomorrow's a new day, but blimey, he's going to have to get his elbows out from the back, and with so many cars ahead of you on a small circuit, if you haven't got the pace, doesn't matter how sharp your elbows are. So you look at Sam Osborne, who briefly puts himself at the top of the times. Charles Rainford goes yet faster as he comes across the line. 10 minutes on the clock. You can see we've already counted down to 7.5 while Louise and Gordon were talking. And up around Druids goes the Napa Racing UK Ford. So we'll see in a moment or two who the next quick drivers are going to be. Only 2 sectors, of course, to this short lap to gauge the lap against.
Yeah, interestingly, Sam Osborne decided not to come in and cross his tyres over. He was in the first group of qualifying, not the second, so his tyres will have cooled off a little bit more, or he'd have swapped them over, but he definitely didn't come in the pits and do a tyre cross, which most of the front-wheel drive cars have. Obviously the BMs are staying out.
Up to the timing line then comes Sam Osborne. He goes by, and that puts him fastest briefly. Now into the 49s goes Jake Hill to go top. So Hill, Osborne, Rainford, De Leon, then Jelly, and behind him Tom Ingram. So that's Jake Hill. He is the fastest, but you can see he's still got more in the car, more in the tyres, weaving left and right going up towards Druids. 6.5 minutes still on the clock, so it's still very early in this second part of qualifying.
Yeah, 46.7 was the time that Hill did in his first qualifying group, so a little way to go yet, 49s at the moment, but taking some time to get that heat evenly distributed across the 4 tyres to get the perfect balance.
There is Charles Rainford then, making his way up towards the right-hand of Clark curve. First season in the championship, of course, very versatile in terms of not just racing in the past in Carrera Cup, but very successful in historics. Very rapid in the winter months in Carrera Cup esports races as well, was Charles. Loves being on the grid, and he's just gone second fastest on a 48.3. But a big dust storm being kicked up by the Hyundai ahead of him, and that was Ingram, wasn't it, that had gone through the gravel?
It looked like an 80 to me on the car.
Right, so wide at paddock, kicking up the dirt. And there, coming now out of the left-hander of Graham Hill Bend is Charles Rainford. This is going to help us. Maybe it wasn't entirely a Hyundai dust storm, because Sam Osborne had gone off and Ingram was backing out of it, maybe having just come out of the pit lane, actually, in fairness to him, avoiding all the dust. So Sam Osborne, the guilty party.
Yeah, so Ingram building up, just trying to find a little track space there from the look of it. See if he sweeps out wide to get a good start.
Stephen Jelly, absolute best first sector. Jake Hill back to the top. Daryl De Leon now to the top with a personal and an absolute best. So De Leon, Hill, Osborne third. Stephen Jelly will be one to watch. He crosses the line and goes up to second. It's De Leon from Jelly by 35 thousandths of a second. Ingram now onto a push lap.
Yeah, and all the laps are going to come in now on this one and the next lap if they're using the peak of their tyres. We're staying with Ingram. Watch him. Where first sector comes up along the bottom straight, so after Graham Hill corner, next up we'll get a first read of the sector as he comes across the sector time here, and it's a personal best but not an absolute best.
Jake Hill over the line, and with Charles Rainford the fastest, Jake now goes even quicker, puts himself up to the top on a 46.636. Adam Morgan goes second. Here is Tom Ingram, personal best in sector 1, 3 seconds of booster lap. He's into 6th. That would get him through as long as nobody else can threaten that he's only, 43 thousandths quicker than the next car. And no sooner have I said that he's into the top 6 than he's out, because Rainford, Camish, also an improver. Hill, Morgan, Rainford, Camish, Osborne, De Leon, the new look top 6.
Yeah, still changing, everybody improving at the moment. Doble a great lap that second, the only 3 thousandths of a second slower than Hill at the moment.
So Mikey Doble second, 3 thousandth drift of Jake Hill, and with 3 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock. Rainford now fastest by 68 thousandths, but he's got maximum boost to use. Jake Hill there, getting out of the way, switching sides, coming up towards paddock as Adam Morgan goes through, as Stephen Jelly goes through. And Ingram goes second.
That is a great lap time from Rainford. That's quicker than Hill went previously. I know he's got a little bit more boost, but that's 1 second quicker than the previous qualifying record.
But Tom Ingram, second, with only 3 seconds a lap ahead of many a driver with the full allocation. That's impressive as well. This is Stephen Jelly.
That's even more impressive from Ingram. That is really going to get the paddock talking. To do that time with only 3 seconds of boost is incredible. Incredible. Stephen Jelly coming out of Clearways to finish a lap or to start a lap, but the best of the tyres probably gone. 2 minutes 44 to go. He may have had a cool down lap before another push lap. That's another way of doing it.
Darrell De Leon has had a lap taken off him, so he was at the bottom of the times. He's trying to regroup. He's just got up to 9th. Jelly is slowest behind Chris Smiley. Smiley struggling in this important part of qualifying though.
And Camish going slowly. I think this is a slow lap from him to build up to one final push. He's just outside at the moment in 7th, but he's not pushing at the moment, so he's just cooling the tyres a little bit.
And Tom Ingram has pitted, so thinking that's all he can do on this session potentially. I don't think the car's going to go back out.
Well, I think he's thinking, I'm definitely done. I'm definitely through to the next 6. No, that's not going to be beaten. Or if it is, he's not going to drop out the top 6. The top 6 at the moment covered by 2.5 tenths. He's clear. He's in the clear.
Right, Adam Morgan goes through. This is Jake Hill, and comes up towards the timing line. Then ready to go through, and no improvement on that lap. Stays 3rd, but as long as he gets through into the next part of qualifying, that'll do him. So those that are going to miss out at the moment are Camish and Lloyd, De Leon and Pearson, Smiley and Jelly.
Camish looks like he's now pushing on this lap, so this is going to be he's got a couple more laps, but this is probably the best for his tyres, so we'll watch and see. A little bit, oh, he's wide, well wide at Druids. That's going to leave tenths of a second on the table.
So the splitter dragging on the ground as it loads up at Grand Hill Bend. What does Dan Camish have to find to get in? He's got to find 35 thousandths of a second to get ahead of teammate Sam Osborne, and he's done a personal best in the first sector. This could happen for him as long as he doesn't run wide at Clark Curve. He's on the boost, potentially not yet. Now he is, comes out of the corner, so he accelerates up towards the timing line. The light goes green in the window. Can Dan Camish get himself into the top 6? The answer is yes, he's done it. Dan Camish then goes provisionally into Q3.
Yeah, and pushes out his own teammate, Sam Osborne. That would have been fantastic for Sam to have got through, but he's been pushed out by his teammate, Dan Camish.
That lap, incidentally, on which Tom Ingram pitted, he'd done a personal best in the first sector anyway. So there's confidence for you. Osborne goes through, doesn't improve, so stays outside the top 6, the quick 6.
Yeah, probably Spencer Aldridge saying, you've done enough, mate, come in.
Yeah.
We can have a little look at the car, do a couple of things maybe before the final session.
Charles Rainford then fastest, heads for the pit lane. Darrell De Leon is 9th, and he's going to get one more lap out of the session, but there are very few improvements now coming, so I think we have indeed, as Tim was suggesting, gone over that peak of the tyre. Flag out.
Yeah, Stephen Jelly losing lap time, but he is slowest of the 12 at the moment. So I think the flag is out. We are done for this session. I can't see any improvements coming, so it's going to be Rainford, Ingram, Hill, Doble, Morgan and Camish into the final 6. So we got 2 of the BMWs through, perhaps not in the order some would have expected, but Rainford, with more boost available to him, has got through.
Darrell De Leon might be an improver because he's managed to find something in the first sector, but can he find enough to go from 9th up to 6th? It's a big ask, but equally they're so evenly matched, all these cars around the Indy circuit. He takes the flag at the end of the session, and the second sector was slower, hence he doesn't improve, he stays 9th, and that confirms the top 6 that Tim has just recited.
So we had 2 Hyundais, 1 Ford, 2 BMWs, and Mikey Doble in the Astra through.
So Charles Rainford the fastest. This will give further succour to WSR after a tough Donington. Looking good here. And the order at the end of Q2. Charles Rainford quickest by 31 thousandths of a second from Tom Ingram. Rainford with 15 seconds per lap of boost, and Ingram with 3. Mighty impressive from Tom Ingram. Jake Hill third, ahead of Mikey Doble, then Adam Morgan and Dan Camish. So we lose Sam Osborne and Dan Lloyd, Darrell De Leon and Ronan Pearson, Chris Smiley and Stephen Jelly also miss cut for Q3. The game of who's going to get pole position, which is played most Saturday mornings at a touring car meeting, ought to be expanded to who are going to be the final 6 in qualifying, because that is just increasingly impossible to try and guess, isn't it? Don't think you'd have had terribly good odds on a really mixed 6 that we have. Fair play for Charles Rainford. That's encouraging for, don't forget, somebody in his first season.
Yeah, I mean, it's a name that may be new to some people, not if you've watched the TOCA package and seen Charles winning in Carrera Cup, because to do that with his experience shows he is a very talented driver, and as you say, very versatile as well. He's a committed driver, he does a lot of driver coaching as well. He's a joy to have in the team. I know the team at West Surrey are very happy with him. Feedback is good, matching very much what Jake Hill and the other drivers have been saying, and this is definitely a name for not just the future but for now as well.
Well, Chris Miley's had a difficult Q2, so good in free practice. Something, it seems, Louise, has gone the wrong way for qualifying.
It looks that way, doesn't it? I mean, Chris, the guys were just saying, just not able to get the same time from the car this afternoon as we saw this morning.
No, the track, the temperature's changed a little bit, and it's just changed the balance of the car slightly, but yeah, it's just so close. You know, if we'd done the time earlier, we just would have got into the quick 6 there, so yeah, bit of work to do tomorrow again.
Such a small, or a quick lap here, though. Does that make it easier or more tricky for tomorrow in terms of making up those places?
I think the advantage that we have tomorrow is that the difference with the hybrid and the tyres. I think the hard tyre is going to make a massive difference around here tomorrow. So, yeah, going forward might be difficult, but yeah, we're on the fringes of the top 10. I would have liked to have been, a bit further up than that, to be honest. But yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes.
It is indeed. Cheers, Chris.
Thank you.
But we know that Chris Miley is a very feisty racer. Matt Neal from Team Dynamics, overseeing some of the work at Restart Racing, working with the team, working with the drivers to unlock those final few thousandths of a second, and the green flag is imminent.
It's funny when Chris Smiley stands next to Matt Neal and looks up to him. He's looking up at a giant, isn't he? And you forget Matt Neal, for when he had all his throughout his career, he used to drive with his knees round the side of the steering wheel. He was so tall.
Chris might be thinking, gosh, what a big car.
Yeah.
It looked quite so big when Matt leant on it. But all helping Chris, both on the engineering side and on the driving side, to learn from an old master like Matt Neal. Q3 then is underway. Our final 10 minutes. 6 cars on track. Well, this is going to be really intriguing, isn't it, to see who comes out on top. At the moment, it's probably going to be a battle between Tom Ingram and a BMW.
Well, both BMWs, I think, will be between Tom Ingram and Charles Rainford and Jake Hill.
Okay, I was going to say, bearing in mind that at one point Tom Ingram didn't have a lap time to his name, having been excluded from the times he'd set halfway through Q1. It's been a massive save.
It's been huge, I mean, absolutely huge, and the pace has been stunning. That's all I can say. I mean, 1 second quicker than the qualifying record of previously. Yes, I know they've got soft tyres and a bit of resurfacing, but the cars are lighter, and the development that's gone on, because he's not using any boost, nearly none anyway, 3 seconds to get that time is incredible.
So the clock ticks, and Tom Ingram then makes the run up towards the timing line for Team Virtue. He goes over the beam now. Behind him is Adam Morgan. And I make the point again, he just seems so much happier back in a front-wheel drive car than rear-wheel drive BMWs. There was discussion between him and his dad Russell to say, go on, let's have one last go, one final run in a front-wheel drive car, see what results we can unlock. And so far, so good.
Yeah, I mean, and we can see what a great car that Hyundai is. He stepped into a really good car this year. The engine development that's gone on with Swindon, the pace that the car already had, and being front-wheel drive, losing weight from losing the hybrid has advantaged them as well. It's quick in a straight line, it's aerodynamic. Yeah. I mean, he's in a really good car.
Yeah, indeed.
When he was driving the Mercedes, it wasn't always the best car.
No, and it was a bit bouncy in the shape as well, whereas the Hyundai's always cut through the air really nicely. Jake Hill's BMW, perhaps likewise, coming now up towards the timing line. Tom Ingram has pitted to cross the tyres. Jake Hill goes through, he can stay out. 7 3/4 minutes on the clock as he heads to paddock Hillbound.
Yeah, you see a lot of the bonnets at the front flapping at the high-speed sections. all the sort of reinforcement and weight that's in the bonnet has been taken out to sort of lose weight from high up on the car, but it does make them quite fragile.
Yeah, indeed. So Jake Hill heads then down towards Graham Hill Bend. Charles Rainford will be in the mix, so will Tom Ingram. But we know that Mikey Doble can fly under the radar, so to speak, so don't rule him out. The Power Maxed team then back with 2 cars. Costa having missed out in Q1, but Mikey Doble upholding honour for the Motor Parts Direct with Power Max Racing squad. This, though, in the Laser Tools Racing with MB Motorsport BMW is Jake Hill, still warming the tyres as he goes through. 7 minutes on the clock now.
Well, we know that Ingram can produce a lap time fairly quickly. Obviously, he's been in and crossed the tyres over, and after his next warm-up lap, he'll be absolutely on it.
Well, indeed. So Hill goes through Druids. This is a bit like the calm before the storm, isn't it? Nobody really has shown their hand yet, and the clock ticks. But
and then all of a sudden, in the space of about 2 minutes, you get all these lap times.
That's right. The session kind of explodes, doesn't it? The timing screen lights up with greens and purples. Jake Hill purple in sector 1. You're looking at Charles Rainford then. The other car in a similar colour scheme, that of Ada Moffat. Remember, we lost in Q1. Mikey Doble ventures out. Charles Rainford now quicker than anybody in the first sector, but there aren't many to compare him against as yet. Like, there's only Jake Hill. So Jake's lap time is about to be offered up, and a 48, there's more to come, but that's the target for the moment. Charles Rainford goes through, goes faster by 200ths, or if you prefer, 21 thousandths of a second. So Rainford from Hill, the order at the moment, and then we need the front wheel drive cars to get in on the act as well as we head towards the halfway point of the final part of qualifying. Jake Hill onto Cooper Straight on the boost, that's why it goes green. Charles Rainford likewise behind him, and then you think about Adam Morgan next in the queue as through the sort of S's at Surtees and McLaren goes Jake Hill, turns right through clearways into Clark Curve now then, heading up towards the line, onto the boost to bring the car out the other side of the corner. The light flashing green in the window, comes up to the line. Second, he's run out of the boost, he goes across the line now, fastest of all, and that is a 46.808 as Charles Rainford is being warned about track limits and he's had a lap time disallowed. Morgan goes second now.
Yeah, I think that was the quickest lap time that Rainford will lose. Well, it hasn't come off yet, but it is his fastest. Yes.
No, it's not, because his best was on lap 5 and it's lap 4 that's being disallowed, so he's okay, he's safe.
Yeah, well, he's done that 46.5, which is what he did in the last session. Very, very quick time. Wide goes Camish out of Paddock Hill Bend, so we know how hard he's pushing.
So at the moment, Adam Morgan is second. He's got the unofficial front-wheel drive pole, if you like, as Mikey Doble goes up to 4th out of the 6 cars in this last quick 6, this last group. This is Adam Morgan on the boost. Now, he's done the absolute best in sector 1. So Adam Morgan heads up towards the timing line. And where will this lap put him? It was looking good, and it's 3rd in the end.
But meanwhile, Hill has gone to the top and usurped his teammates with the quickest time we've seen so far today of 46.4. 46.49, with the fastest second sector of anybody you can see from that purple marked ident next to his name.
Jake Hill, 3 pole positions out of qualifying sessions in his touring car career, going up towards 30s now. This is Mikey Doble, who, remember, was on pole position at Silverstone 2 years ago. We've got 4 minutes on the clock. Dan Camish has lost a lap for track limit offences. Mikey Doble goes by 4th in the times still. And at the moment, the leading 4 covered by 7/10 of a second.
Yeah, we saw Camish going wide at Paddock Hill Bend, and that's where he lost the lap time from, turn 1.
Charles Rainford then up to second. He's only 21 thousandths shy of Jake Hill. This is the hard-charging Tom Ingram, who is 6th at the moment, but he has done a personal best within sector 1, and when he breaks the beam, he will go up to 4th. Hill, Rainford, Morgan, now Camish 4th, Ingram 5th, Doble 6th. That's the order because Doble has had a lap time removed for, yeah, you guessed it, track limits, and it's all at Paddock Hill Bend.
Yeah, well, now is the time to push, isn't it? I mean, not that they weren't pushing before, but you're not going to leave anything on the table at the moment. And you turn into Paddock, as we're watching Mikey Doble do now, and you're never quite sure how much road you're going to need on the exit, but you try and send it in there with a few extra kph on your turn-in speed, and you just hope that the car will stick.
Right, Tom Ingram, absolute best, sector 1. Here he is up towards the timing line, 3 minutes and counting. He's got to get himself into the low 46s if he can, and as Ingram goes through, he's up to 4th. Tom Ingram 4th fastest. This is Dan Camish, who's down to 5th. And Camish's lap was slower in sector 1, so we're not anticipating a big improvement, if anything. No, it's a slower lap time, 2.5 on the clock. Jake Hill fastest, 21 thousandths the margin. This is Mikey Doble.
Yeah, Camish is doing a slowdown lap on this lap. He may have another push at the end, but he's doing his slowdown lap. But that's another great time from Ingram, just 2 tenths off the quickest. And Hill has 8 seconds more boost than he does, so it's quite a considerable amount.
It is indeed. 2 minutes on the clock. Charles Rainford, oh so close to getting onto pole position, but I think now he's possibly gone over the peak of the tyres, hasn't he? We've got 2 minutes to go, and he's just not, and nor is anybody else, doing a green or a purple on the timing screen. So it could be that Jake Hill, by a very tiny margin of 21 thousandths, has done enough to put the local hero on pole position going into race 1 tomorrow.
Well, he's still trying, because he was flashing his lights at his teammate coming up to Druids at the first sector. Now Hill does a personal best. Is it a personal best?
No.
It's a yellow, so it's slower than his best. So I think he's, as you say, unless he does a remarkable final sector, but looks like he's good possibly for the pole.
Does, doesn't it? Goes through that lap slower, 48, so quite a bit slower in fairness. You've got Adam Morgan still pressing on. He's got to find 6 thousandths to get ahead of Charles Rainford, but if the tyres aren't willing, 6 thousandths might be 6 miles. I mean, it's just impossible to find.
It sounds like nothing, doesn't it? Why don't you get on the power a bit earlier or brake a bit later? But he's already at the limit.
It's Dan Camish going by, 5th now in number 27 Ford. The only Napa Racing UK driver to get this far. Mikey Doble is 6th, but even if he doesn't improve from 6th fastest, the outside of row 3, still not bad, is it?
Oh, it's fantastic effort. The Power Max team put in a lot of effort. M Sport with the engines put in a lot of effort, and Mikey Doble driving the wheels off it.
And the flag is imminent. Then we're into the last half a minute. Jake Hill goes through, Charles Rainford goes through. They're all staying out, but they're just not being able to find those fractions of a second, and that's Tom Ingram, who I think has bailed coming into the race.
Yeah, just picking up a little bit of debris from the outside of the circuit. He will have to race on these tyres tomorrow, so they will have to be cleaned off. They're cleaned off with a hot scraper to clean the surface off, but he wants to make sure there's no ride height problems when he comes in by just picking up a bit of debris.
Charles Rainford then on his last lap, but in the first sector he's a little bit slower, so
he's backed off.
He has indeed. We're on for an all BMW front row, which was an unlikely sentence given what we saw at Donington.
It was, but the champ is back, and the champ is on the pole. Well done, Jake Hill. Good to see you back there, mate.
King of the hill. So Jake Hill coasts towards the checkered flag rather than coming into the pit lane, but sort of serenely, almost like a lap of honour, takes the checkered flag as he coasts past the pits. That lap was a 59.7, crawls past the pits, but pole position is his.
Yeah, and look how happy he is.
Yeah.
You'd think he'd won the race, but he's waving to the local fans, and he must be absolutely delighted. I do think Jake really kept his cool remarkably well for a champion going into the first race of the year at Donington and finding himself at a bit of a disadvantage. I thought he held his head up high, he delivered good points in the races, and he knew that good times would come, and I admire him for that. It's a mark of a champion, and then when you've got the goods underneath you, you deliver, and that's what he's done today.
And 2 4th places were not half bad at Donington. I mean, yes, okay, we were saying there that the cars didn't seem to be that racy, but you're right, in terms of banking good points, the job was done there. And here he will start race 1 from pole position with Charles Rainford, his teammate, with him at the front of the grid. So let's have a look at the 6 drivers in order that went through into Q3. Jake Hill faster than Charles Rainford, and then Adam Morgan 3rd. Tom Ingram 4th, Dan Camish 5th. All of those manufacturer entries. Mikey Doble in the independent Motor Parts Direct with Power Max Racing, Vauxhall Astra, completes the top 6. And you can see how narrow the margins are. 21 thousandths between the top 2, and then 5 thousandths between 2nd and 3rd. Now to the technical checks, and the ride height, the weight of the cars to be confirmed, and then they'll be released down to the teams. But for Jake Hill, a 4th career pole, and puts him back at the front, ready to go into race 1 tomorrow. It'll be a relief to him, a relief to the team as well.
Yeah, very much so. And the other reason that the drivers just cruise round when they've got the opportunity to do it nice and slowly is just to let the suspension recover. There's a lot of compression here at Brands Hatch, and you want the car to just recover gently back to its normal ride height rather than come in hot and have the car a little bit compressed. It's another way of just ensuring you clear the ride height. Of course, they're running them as fast as they possibly can, so I'm sure those splitters are marginal on ride height, so anything you can do, running over debris, going around gently, just reduces the risk of a ride height failure.
Mikey Doble goes through the tech check, so next will Dan Camish. And if you're wondering why we've not heard from Jake Hill, well, he's even further back in the queue, so he's not yet gone through the technical checks, never mind got to a place in the pit lane where he can talk to Louise. Dan Camish set to start 5th going into race 1. Of course, it was Dan Cam that was on pole position at Donington. He came away with an 8th, a 3rd and a 4th, and that 8th after a puncture and a pit stop was a pretty good save as well in terms of banking
that went
points.
a bit unnoticed, wasn't it? But due to the safety car, he was able to get onto the back of the Crocodile and make rapid progress. That was a fantastic drive.
Right, Adam Morgan, 3rd fastest. He's having really good pace in the Hyundai this year. No doubt he'll be pretty chuffed with 3rd, Louise.
Pretty chuffed. Are you pretty chuffed?
I'm pretty hot. Yeah, you know, after our issues at Donington with the track limits and qualifying, to come out here today and put it P3, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've still got the full deployment on boost, but we had to come here and make the most of it, and I think throughout the day we've done that, we've achieved it. So yeah, phase 1 done, and now it's on to tomorrow.
As you were saying, it's pretty hot out there, so that was giving you, well, not cause for concern, but making the job harder. But also, you were having a little bit of an issue with reaching with your little hands, I think, as you put it.
Yeah, I'm not exactly. They don't make diamonds the size of rocks, and my little hands, when you're coming out of the last corner and you've got wheel spin and trying to reach the hybrid, my forearms are killing. But yeah, we got through, we survived. I think it's going to be an interesting race tomorrow, see what people do with the soft and hard tyres, but we're in the mix, and that's where we want to be. So massive thank you to everyone at Accelerate. Yeah, I'm really happy.
And I guess tyre decisions are going to be really critical as to where you stay in the mix, because as we saw last time out, you know, what we were expecting to be the form with the tyres ended up not being the form. So how difficult is that decision between whether you go with the softer or the harder tyre for race 1 going to be?
It's, I think, like I said to you before, it is a bit of a step into the unknown with the new tarmac over there. It is how long these soft tyres are going to last. I think a lot of people are going to put the hards on in race 1 and get them out of the way. So we don't know. We'll see what happens tomorrow morning.
We look forward to finding out. Right, let's go for a bit of a wander run. I can see that Charles Rainford has come back into the paddock, just taking his helmet off. So we will dive in and grab a word with somebody who I'm imagining is a very happy man. As we know, it's only his 2nd event in the British Touring Car Championship, and he's starting on the front row.
Yeah, how did that happen? Unreal.
You drove very fast, that's how that happened.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I've got to owe this one to the boys, really. I mean, from where we were at Donington to now, the car's so different to drive, so just amazing. Congratulations, Jake. 1-2, it's just a complete difference to Donington, amazing.
Just tell us about that difference. Where's it come from, and more importantly, how does it feel when you're inside the car?
Yeah, you know, it's just nice to drive. It's at Donington, it was incredibly snappy, and now it's just nice. So there's a bit more in me to come, as Jake's proven, but yeah, I mean, 2nd weekend, I'm so excited.
But you've been there or thereabouts all across the weekend. You've been the fastest in the practice sessions. Is this kind of taking the pressure off because you know you've got a quick car, or putting the pressure on because you've got a quick car and you're starting on the front row?
I think all of a sudden there's expectations. So I've got expectations of myself tomorrow. We'll see how it goes, but I'm just incredibly excited to be here, and this is just unbelievable.
Fantastic, and let's grab the man behind me. I can't grab the man behind me yet because he's busy taking his helmet off. You're faster on the lap than you are taking your helmet off, aren't you? But listen, well done, Jake. Fantastic result. You celebrated that pole position like you just won a race. I mean, lights flashing, waving to the crowd.
Yeah, that was eventful, wasn't it? You know, but just threw the world at it. I thought it might be on the cards, you know, in Q1 when obviously we topped our group with Charles hot on my heels, and I thought, come on, let's have a go. So thrilled. This team, you know, Laser Tools Racing team, have just absolutely thrown it together and given me a car that's capable of being back at the front.
And that's really important, isn't it? Because you didn't get what you wanted out of Donington in terms of results, but more importantly in terms of what you wanted from the car. So to be back here at your home circuit is a very good feeling.
Yeah, it's my first pole at Brands as well, back at home. So, yeah, leaving here on Saturday night, very happy man, but yeah.
Well, leaving here on Saturday night with an additional trophy as well, because we now have the special Goodwood Wingfoot Award going to each pole sitter, which is a great trophy. That's just the first trophy that you want to be winning across this weekend, though, isn't it?
It is. As lovely as this is, and it's much better than the previous one I've won at the end of the year. Doesn't fall apart by the looks of it. Yeah, I'm hopeful of a win tomorrow, or at least a couple of podiums.
Well done for this one. We'll see you out there tomorrow.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Thanks, Louise. Yes, the Goodyear Wingfoot Award in deference to the tyre supply. And Jake Hill takes the trophy here. Dan Camish did so at Donington. So it is Jake Hill then who takes pole position, and a job very well done, not just by him, but as he was saying, by the whole team to really turn around the pace of the BMWs. Let's just go through the full order then, barring any penalties that may lurk in the system, but this should be a reflection of the grid. Jake Hill fastest from Charles Rainford, and then Adam Morgan third. Tom Ingram fourth, the top 6 rounded out by Dan Camish and Mikey Doble. Sam Osborne 7th from Dan Lloyd and Darryl De Leon. Ronan Pearson rounding out the top 10. Chris Smiley 11th from Stephen Jelly. Ash Sutton 13th, Dan Rowbottom 14th, then it was Tom Chilton from Michael Crease. Josh Cook way back 17th ahead of Aaron Taylor-Smith, Max Hall and then James Dorlin in 20th. And it was Nicholas Hamilton next from Dexter Patterson. Nick Halstead 23rd, Gordon Shedden 24th and Aidan Moffat 25th. Some big names out of position all the way outside of that top 6. That's going to make for a really frantic opening race tomorrow. It should be very, very lively indeed. We have action, of course, here at Brands Hatch from the support categories as well. Caterhams join us this weekend. Porsche's represented by the Sprint Challenge. We've got the Minis to look forward to as well during tomorrow's race programme. And it's all on ITV4 from 10:40. Another great day of racing from the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit for rounds 4, 5 and 6. We'll see you tomorrow. But for now, from Louise Goodman and Tim Harvey and David Addison, it's goodbye from Brands.